No one likes to feel or know that they have been fooled and had the wool pulled over their eyes. That is a universal language. And so I get that it might be a tough pill to swallow if you feel that way. If you're a viewer, if you're someone right now who's been watching, who's been listening, and you bought this, I get it. But in real time right now, you can do something about it. And you can decide to not allow this to happen again. You can choose to demand better. In this instance, we knew that people would make some pretty crazy takes.
Well, and to be honest, you called it. Like, we did.
The claim is that this is going to be World War III. The truth? Probably not. What I'm saying is right now, we have no reason to think that's the case.
I just don't think that we are serving our audiences well by constantly telling them, breaking, this is World War III.
Right. So the air superiority is so lopsided right now in Israel's favor that if no one else gets involved, okay, pack it in. It's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Is it disingenuous of Donald Trump, or is it disingenuous of someone to say, you know, I was on the MAGA train, but he's turned on us because now he says Iran's a threat? Well, hold on a second. That sounds to me like it's your fault that you didn't know where he stood, and it's your fault for misinforming your audience if you ever even so much as implied that Donald Trump held any position other than Iran can't get a nuke. I think that's your fault. That's important because that's the point where Donald Trump goes, they probably should negotiate, when it seems pretty clear that they've gone from 200 missiles launched to 35 in the span of a day. You know, someone is more likely to negotiate if they're in a weakened state.
And short of World War III, I don't even think this is going to end up in a full armed conflict between these two nations.
This is one of those things. The friendly fire occurring within the conservative community is bizarre right now. This is not one of the issues that would have resulted in that. This is not a declaration of war against the world. This is not sending American troops to die for Israel. None of that has happened. And it is amazing the efficiency with which this was carried out. Anyone who said false flag to get us into war, that's someone who I would question going forward if the United States doesn't get involved and it's not a global conflict. Because it does require that. In other words, for that statement to be made, this is a false flag. For someone to say that Israel set up a false flag, that would require people to be in cahoots, which would mean that it is a 100% inevitability that the United States, boom, got their excuse and is getting into a global conflict. If it doesn't happen, start questioning the people who say false flag.
Come, let Zoltar tell you more.
I'm gonna hit the next pitch ball right past the flag.
We're gonna win the game, I guarantee.
So, to recap, said this is probably done in a week or two, and I don't think we'll have a full-scale conflict, even necessarily between these nations, and definitely don't think it's World War III. We were accused of being shills and liars, and I'm going to go through specific people, specific instances, right now as to the information that many of you were presented and you believed. And by the way, listen, if you believe this, it's not, you need to take some responsibility, but it's not your fault. It really isn't. If you are trusting people to serve you with accurate information and they're consistently warping it, it's not all your fault, I should say. And in addressing this, what do I expect in return? I expect it to get personal. I expect character assassinations. I expect hit pieces, whatever. I'm going to address the information that's been presented. False flag, PSYOP, for the Jews, for Israel, use them interchangeably. Let's go through a few examples. Because right now we find ourselves at a point where war has been averted, ceasefire, and Donald Trump is in our camp. Just to be clear, too, I can't think of a president more in my camp. What Donald Trump is saying is, you shouldn't have a nuke. I've been clear about that. Israel, you have a right to exist, but Jews, you are annoying me. And that's where I am. Don't shit test me. It's a good thing. I'm glad he's in that camp. Let's go through the examples. Candace Owens said over and over again that President Trump would send you to die for Israel, for the Jews. I'm reading her actual ex-posts. Get ready, white American men. It's time for you to go die for Israel again. If you don't want to die for Israel, then you are an anti-Semite. Sign up to die in Iran for Netanyahu today, or just admit you hate Jews. Here's another one. They tried to redefine anti-Semitism, criminalize criticism of Israel on college campuses. Not true. Most crucially, seed the idea that the declaration of Christ as our king amounted to hatred against Jews. Also not accurate. All of this was done in preparation for the Greater Israel agenda, regarding which they attempted to emotionally manipulate Americans to accept. The conspiracy theorists were right again. It was always about a planned war with Iran and a doomed, heretical belief that mass slaughter of women and children is messianic. Let me read that again. It was always about a planned war. Where's the planned war?
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah. This wasn't presented as an opinion. This was presented to you as fact. And I had many people go, this is clearly a planned war for Israel. That's clearly what Donald Trump is doing. He's trying to get us in. Is that what you're seeing? If it's not what you're seeing, this was dishonest. Here's another one. Our foreign policy is dictated by Israel. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. That seem like it's dictated by Israel?
That's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Deception.
Trump will continue to do as he is told by Netanyahu. Don't drop the bombs. Okay, we won't. That sounds to me like one person's in charge. And here's the thing. That's a good thing. Shouldn't we be happy about this, guys? Shouldn't we be happy that Donald Trump at a certain point had enough and said jump, and they said how high? Both sides. Trump will continue to do as he is told by Netanyahu. If you want to know what America will do, spare yourself the fake White House press briefings and start listening to Bibi. We are a colony of Israel. Your politicians are bought and paid for. Taking separate components, there are politicians bought and paid for by AIPAC, by the way. I can't stand AIPAC for the same reason that I hate Act Blue. They support Hakeem Jeffries. But combining that and saying that we are a colony of Israel, and spare yourself the fake White House press briefings. Also implications that everything here, everyone who disagrees, was fake. If it seems like I'm being harsh, it's because you were told that the people telling you the truth were fake, and the algorithm amplifies it, and it made your life worse, and it embarrassed you. You get it? By the way, the worst part is you don't even get to celebrate the win. No war. Good, done. No nukes in Iran. Great. America is a colony of Israel. Spare yourself all the other fake information and know that you're going to go die for Israel, which ultimately led to an entire coalition demanding the impeachment of the man you voted for. Candace Owens legitimately told service members that they should seek a dishonorable discharge, which, by the way, wouldn't be a dishonorable discharge. If you look at the way she described it, it would be desertion over a war that wasn't happening.
LG19 writes, serious question, will there be jobs or community military members can join when I get a dishonorable discharge for not contributing to delete people or my body for the interests of a certain foreign nation benefit? I love this question. I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land? You now have the benefit of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving their country, whatever, and these people gave up their lives. And ask yourselves, for what?
Yeah, desert for a war that's not even happening. And here's the thing. Yeah, I get it. X isn't real life. But it turns into real life if people believe it. And some soldiers, I guarantee you, believed it. Some soldiers still fell for it. Some are still falling for it. Like Private who is still AWOL and doesn't know the war is over, anti-Semitic Jim. This guy got the short end. He doesn't hates Jews. Look,
in an attic.
People make mistakes. If it was all a mistake, just say it. Serve your audience. Serve the country, Candace. Tucker Carlson. He said that President Trump was complicit in an act of war with Israel. He said, politicians purporting to be America first can't now credibly turn around and say they've had nothing to do with it. He also predicted and told you this, and many of you believed this, that a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities would all but guarantee leading us to the death of thousands of Americans. He said, It's worth pointing out that a strike on the Iranian nuclear sites will almost certainly result in thousands of American deaths at bases throughout, and he was clever enough to use the word almost, throughout the Middle East and cost the United States tens of billions of dollars. The cost of future acts of terrorism on American soil may be even higher. Those aren't guesses. Those are the Pentagon's own estimates. A bombing campaign against Iran will set off a war, and it will be America's war. Don't let the propagandists lie to you. Don't let the propagandists lie to you. You know, like us, like the president who said, we're not going into war. We are going to make sure that they don't have nuclear capabilities. We have no interest in regime change. We've always had an interest in ensuring that a crazy, unstable, anti-American, anti-freedom country who has said they will use nukes, we've always said they can't procure nukes. But don't believe the propagandists who told you that and gave you the references and encouraged you to read them. Dave Smith. By the way, again, it's tough because some of these people I think present some arguments that are useful sometimes. Tweeted this about the war. According to Netanyahu and other sources, Trump had full prior knowledge of Israel's attack and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as cover. So this is presenting, again, fact, not opinion. Netanyahu and other sources. Here are some facts for you, which leads me to this conclusion. If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable. He's allowing one side of a war who clearly wants to drag us in to lie about our involvement while not correcting the record. Either way, Trump has betrayed MAGA and every principle of America first. He is no longer worthy of any of our support. He probably never was. So sources, Netanyahu and Trump, we knew about it. We were involved in this. Weave it all together, and this was all an excuse for us to go to a perpetual war with Iran. He also said with the utmost certainty that, and it almost sounds like at a certain point you just don't want the United States to ever have any good days, that we did not have, quote, escalation dominance against Iran. And again, Trump should be impeached.
It was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. To be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table, it's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese.
Right.
Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one.
Hey, just say you made some mistakes, Dave.
That's a 2007 reference.
Yeah.
What was going on in 2007? Battle of Fallujah. We were still very involved in Iraq.
Right.
Still very involved in Afghanistan. Both sides of Iran. Completely different landscape.
Yep.
Completely different operations going on there. That is a crazy reference to make about what's going on now in 2025.
Oh, no, didn't you know? We're secretly already involved. It's about World War III and war with Iran.
I did forget
sending
that.
American bodies to die for Israel, right?
I did forget that.
Just say you made some mistakes, Dave. Serve your audience. Serve the country. Never hear from me on this again. People make mistakes. Ian Carroll, who I believe works with Candace as well. He put this out there. Again, anyone who said false flag or PSYOP, the only way that works is if there's World War III. Accountability matters. This, quote, stopping Iran from getting a nuke narrative is propaganda cooked up by Israel. The nation that stole its nuclear weapons tech hasn't signed the treaties and doesn't allow inspections. Well, it didn't sign the treaties, doesn't allow inspections. That part is true. Put in a little bit of truth. And then you believe the rest. It's propaganda cooked up by Israel. Leading into the war in Iraq, there wasn't enough support for the war, so they created the anthrax hoax with anthrax that was eventually traced to a CIA lab in order to manufacture more consent. Watch for a false flag to do the same for Iran now. So Iran's nuclear program, the idea that they have one, the idea that they were enriching uranium, was a PSYOP to lead to a false flag to draw the United States into another war. And of course, if you continue down the timeline, World War III, something, World War III. None of it works if we're not in another war. None of it works if we are not today sending Americans to die and shed their blood. And by the way, it won't work if we find ourselves in a war unrelated to this 2 or 3 months from now, just to be clear. So don't do another 2007 reference. We know how this played out now. We know what the intent was. We know there wasn't a false flag because a false flag would necessitate the reaction for the false flag. False flag for what? Perpetual war. Yeah? False flag for what? To go to World War III. But where is it? It's like some people just wake up and look for ways to lie.
I have a huge penis. And the Jews did 9/11. Gotta go.
One of those may be true.
Yeah, you take a guess, bro.
Dancing Israelis. By the
That's
way,
what I call it.
you can download the Rumble app if you want to support a free speech platform and go where we're not beholden to the algorithm. Follow me there. You get notified when we're live, 11 a.m. weekdays. It's like TV Guide. I'm not going to give you clickbait because, you know what? We're past the point of having to do that. I don't want to do that. Martyr made. Here's the post. The mid-negotiation goalpost shift to, quote, no enrichment when it's not necessary to prevent Iran from getting nukes. And everyone has always known it is a non-starter was a poison pill that could only have been meant to sabotage negotiations and provide an excuse for war. Where's the war? Guys, it matters because, well, there are many reasons it matters. You are being told by these people that the other folks were liars. PSYOP, false flag, blood for Israel, guaranteed war, Netanyahu, inside sources. No danger of Iran getting nukes. You were told not to believe anyone else. You understand why now I'm saying, hey, now look at the evidence. They told you not to believe anyone else. I'm now telling you, please use your judgment and discernment going forward. And I encourage you if you use discernment, to read and to check out the people I'm referencing today. Please do. And contrast it with the truth, the information you have available to you at that time. Stu Peters responded after President Trump attacked Iran. The Jews are grubbing their hands and salivating at the thought of American blood. And Zion Don is happy to give it to them. Zion Don is happy to give it to them. Don't send the planes. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Sound like Zion Don?
Did he just call Jews vampires?
I guess.
Salivating for blood?
I guess it could be, right? That might be the implication. Matter of fact, Donald Trump has been more harsh on Israel than Barack Obama in dealing with them directly. He just doesn't want people to die. He's been remarkably consistent. Iran can't have nukes. He opposed the war in Iraq. He opposes foreign intervention if it means that there will be needless death. Don't we want a president who doesn't want people to die? And don't we want that president, who historically will be known as the anti-death president, to also be the president who showed a display of American military might that we haven't seen in decades, that resulted in no net deaths? It was like an exhibition match, only he also took out the champion. Like, I don't know how you do that. And so this is something, and I think we're not broadcasting on YouTube anymore. This is something that I just ask you guys moving forward. You know, you often say this with COVID, and then after the fact, people are going like, I wish we could have held them to account. Right now, at this moment in time, this morning at 11:42, Tuesday, June 24th, you can do it. Remember how we said Donald Trump can't control Russia, Ukraine, right? Where people said, he made a promise that he would, sure, and that was an empty promise. But the wheels were in motion, and tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions, depending on the sources you cite, were already being spent and pledged, right? So he couldn't really stop it. He couldn't unilaterally do that. Same thing with Israel and Gaza. That happened before he came in. Iran and Israel, where he had the ability to control it. We know his intent. We know his actions. We now know where his heart was. When he was in the driver's seat, you saw who Donald Trump is as president. I think it's a good thing. It's the same thing right now. You can't go back and change COVID. You can't control legacy media. You can't control ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, MSNBC, CNBC. You can't. But just like Donald Trump, with this happening under his watch, you can help police your own right now. You can demand better in real time. And I know that sometimes it's tough if you've been, there's one thing, the Hutu tribesmen, in the African plains, there are tribes out there where cannibalism is okay. There's one thing that's universal. Nobody, across all languages, races, genders, however many there are today, no one likes to feel or know that they have been fooled and had the wool pulled over their eyes. That is a universal language. And so I get that it might be a tough pill to swallow if you feel that way. If you're a viewer, if you're someone right now who's been watching, who's been listening, and you bought this, I get it. But in real time right now, you can do something about it. And you can decide to not allow this to happen again. You can choose to demand better. And those, the purveyors of, let's call them mistakes. It looks like misinformation. Let's call them mistakes. You can do better. You can just admit that you were wrong. Do right by your audience. Do right by the country. And you know what? If we want there to be some healing, because we all have felt it, this tension, let's let there be some healing over something great. Hey, we all voted for a guy who did exactly what he said he would. We all voted for a guy who was going to seal up the border, most secure border of our lifetime. We all voted for a guy who was going to put America first and not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. Look at what's been happening with the tariffs. Look at what's been happening with unemployment and inflation. We all voted for a guy who didn't want to engage in new foreign wars, but we all knew for at least 20 years, said Iran cannot get a nuke. And he said that for the same reason that we don't find ourselves in World War III. We have a president who we all voted for who is consistently, unilaterally opposed to needless death. Impeach him? You do find yourselves at a conclusion, right? If you've been at this one point, Zion Don, PSYOP, controlled by Israel, of course impeach him. If I believe that, I would want him to be impeached. Or you find yourselves at the truth. You have an imperfect man who's done what he said he would do as president. And you don't offer anyone your blind loyalty. If they make a mistake, you call them on it, but you don't make them up. He did what he said he was going to. So impeach him, or, you know what? Isn't it great? A military action that resulted in no deaths, that took out potentially a huge threat and led to a ceasefire to end a war that was resulting in needless deaths. One is awful. Impeach him. And that means that we've been wrong all this time. You've been wrong all this time. And there's no hope. There's a good day. Hey, nothing's perfect. No one is perfect. But I don't know how much of a better day you can get if you are an anti-war, pro-America, voting conservative in this country than where we find ourselves today, June 24th, 2025. So let's find some common ground on that and celebrate. And one last thing, too. Like I said earlier, if we had to pursue those algorithms, that the lie travels a lot faster than the truth. Just think of it this way. World War III, PSYOP, false flag to shed blood for Israel. There's your title, there's your thumbnail. Probably with someone doing this. Or the facts. Probably won't have World War III, and this will likely be done in a couple of weeks. Donald Trump wants to de-escalate and remove nuclear threat. Which one are you clicking? Now, if we were still beholden to, we've been demonetized for well over half a decade. If we were still beholden to the YouTube algorithm, we'd have to chase it too. And so we're incredibly grateful. We are actually, not like PBS, funded by viewers like you, where we if we don't serve you, if you don't at the end of your year think, hey, you know what? These folks were at least trying to be accurate and providing the references and calling balls and strikes. If you don't, guess what? None of us eat. Because we have to serve you, we can't serve the algorithm beast that is X and YouTube. You have to pick one. And I'm very grateful to have picked you. So please, if not, just allow us to continue to serve you. But if you think it's worth it, join Rumble Premium. Mug Club is Rumble Premium. Rumble Premium is Mug Club. It's $99 a year. You get this hand-etched mug. Everything ad-free, 100% more show, an additional Friday show, Nick DiPaolo, Donald Trump Jr., Guns and Gear, more from Tim Pool. It's the best one-stop shop. And you know what? The people who join, that's what guarantees the free content. And by free content, I mean truly free. Free to speak the truth, even if it isn't all that sexy for an algorithm. We do need to do better. And today can be the day that we find some common ground here and course correct and coalesce around one simple thing: the truth. And I think it's a good day. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the live daily show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.